My name is Mike Darcy, president of Mars Biomed Processes. We manufacture amalgam separators for the dental industry. The EPA has come out with and sent all the manufacturers an email advising them that they will be implementing mandatory amalgam separator for all dental practices in the U.S. Amalgam separators are designed to remove anywhere from 95 to 99.9% of mercury from dental wastewater. The reason for that is the dental wastewater goes from the dental office into the sewer system. Once in the sewer system, it is released theoretically to the wastewater treatment plants. The wastewater treatment plants do not have access or any real way of removing it as of yet. So it ends up in a primary sludge. The primary sludge is then used either for fertilizer or other landfill, or they have a number of uses for it. Unfortunately, some of it is actually even incinerated, which is bad for mercury because it evaporates and goes downwind. What we have seen in the past is with the installation of any amalgam separator, the mercury in the wastewater is diminished significantly in any city, and it's happened in many cities across North America. However, one of the major issues with amalgam separators, like anything else, if you buy a car and you don't maintain it, you probably won't have it for too long. Amalgam separators are efficient pieces of equipment that need to be maintained. Some, as in Mars, could take 2 years before you need to do any maintenance. And others could be 6 months. It really depends on the office. It depends on the piece of equipment that's purchased. The bottom line is that if it does not get maintained, we end up seeing a massive reduction in efficiency. A very major city that was tracking the installation of amalgam separators happened to brag a little bit about how well they were doing until 3 or 4 years after full implementation. They started to notice that mercury levels were rising. The issue, when we started to take a look at what was actually happening, was there are separators that require more service than others. These separators were not being serviced. Therefore, as they weren't being serviced, their efficiency dropped virtually to zero, and it would be similar to not having any amalgam separators at all. When the EPA writes a new legislation for or law for the United States, they will bring in the rest of the states that have no law at the present time. If that law is written properly, which would be very nice, it should include service requirements. Leaving the service requirements to the dental practice is not really fair, because the doctor's concern is whether or not he has suction. Granted, he's interested to make sure that there's no mercury in his wastewater, because that's a good thing to do. The real issue happens when amalgam separators are created, installed, and they will work and not lose suction, which is one of our mandates when we build separators, not to lose suction, so the dental practice is never out of work. However, when it's not maintained, you still have your suction, but you don't have the separation, which means all the money and effort that's used at the beginning to make this entire program work properly is virtually wasted and poured down the drain. So in the case of the EPA, when a law is written, it definitely should and actually must include some sort of verification of installation, which can be done quite easily through paperwork. Every amalgam separator that goes out there should have, and ours, in the case of the Mars Liberty Boss, the bill, the actual invoice, actually has the suggested lifespan. We will put down a Liberty Boss in this office is estimated to be, as example, 2 years. The doctor then knows. More importantly, it's a lot easier for the manufacturer to track it. There's no reason why a dental distribution house, or in this case in Mars, we track every one of them that we've got. If I tell somebody it's going to be 2 years, they get a call in 23 months. So it's our job. I'm responsible. And I think that in this industry, with the impact that mercury has on the environment, people who are out there selling amalgam separators for very good money, and the average now is about $500 a year For $500 a year, I think the manufacturers are responsible for making sure that it's done. The dentist has other things to do. If we want to take his money for a separator, let's do the full thing, go cradle to grave, and follow it through, and call him up and say, it's due for a change. And that way the problem will be solved.
And your